We've been using the power of flowing water for literally thousands of years, but our oldest renewable energy source has a very modern and very big problem. Today, we're going to look at a machine that might just be the solution. It's a revolutionary turbine designed to finally unlock the immense, predictable power of our oceans. Let's see how it works.
So here's our plan. We'll kick things off with a big challenge facing traditional hydropower. Then we'll dive into why the ocean's tides are such an amazing alternative. After that, we'll meet the O2 turbine itself, break down its seriously game-changing design, and finally, look at what all this could mean for the future of energy.
All right, to really get why this new turbine is such a breakthrough, we first have to understand the problem it's solving. Water power isn't new, not by a long shot, but its modern form comes with some serious baggage. We've gone from these quaint, simple water wheels to absolutely massive hydroelectric dams. They're true marvels of engineering. And today, get this, hydropower accounts for a staggering 16% of all global electricity. But these incredible structures, they come at a cost. And that massive scale leads to a really crucial question. These projects have huge environmental impacts, completely disrupting ecosystems for miles. And maybe the most surprising thing, the giant reservoirs they create can release significant amounts of methane, which is a really potent greenhouse gas. So yeah, we clearly need a better way. And this is where the ocean comes into the picture. You see, unlike wind or solar, which have to deal with the problem of intermittency, the sun doesn't always shine, the wind doesn't always blow, the power of the tides is as reliable as clockwork. Now, there are basically two main ways to grab this energy. The newer way is using tidal stream turbines. Just think of them as underwater windmills that you place right in the flow of a strong current. They're way more flexible and have a much smaller environmental footprint than the older method, tidal barrages. Those are basically giant dams built across a whole estuary, like the one in Reims, France. They work, but they have a lot of the same high cost and environmental problems as river dams. So what's the big deal with tidal power? Well, first off, it is completely predictable. The tides are driven by the gravitational pull of the moon and the Earth's rotation. And trust me, those things aren't changing anytime soon, so the power is always there. But here's the real kicker. Ocean water is over 800 times denser than air. What does that mean? It means a tidal turbine can generate way, way more energy than a wind turbine of the exact same size. And that brings us to the star of the show, the O2 turbine. It was developed by a company called Orbital Marine Power up in Orkney, Scotland, and it's the result of 15 long years of relentless innovation and hard work. Yeah, this thing did not just appear overnight. The O2 is the product of a really long development journey, including years of testing a full-scale prototype in the famously ferocious seas around Orkney. That spot was the perfect place to prove that this technology could survive in some of the most brutal environments on the planet. The sheer scale of this machine is just staggering. At 72 meters long, it's about the size of a jumbo jet. It weighs 680 tons, and its two enormous 20-meter rotors are built to capture the full, raw force of the tide. When this thing is running at full tilt, this one machine can generate 2 megawatts of clean electricity. That's enough to power about 2,000 homes. But it's not just the size that's impressive. It's the incredibly clever engineering, which was designed from the ground up to solve one of the biggest and most expensive problems in marine energy: maintenance. Okay, first, let's talk about efficiency. The O2's blades can actually reverse their pitch. It's a brilliant design feature that lets the turbine generate electricity continuously, whether the tide is flowing in or flowing out. This simple, clever tweak maximizes its energy capture 24/7. But this is the truly revolutionary part. When it's time for maintenance, powerful hydraulic arms lift the massive rotors and their power-generating nacelles. Think of those as the turbine's engine rooms, completely out of the water in this kind of gull-wing motion. This means all the complicated work can be done right there as the surface using small, cheap boats. It totally eliminates the need for expensive dive teams or giant specialized ships. And this chart perfectly illustrates why that design is so critical. Just think about working on the seabed. It's dark, the pressure is immense, the currents are crazy. Any job down there needs specialized ships, robots, expert divers, and you can only work when the weather is perfect. Now look at the cost. If a maintenance job on land costs $1, doing it at the ocean's surface is $100. But doing that same job on the seabed, it can be $10,000. By bringing maintenance up to the surface, Orbital has essentially turned a $10,000 problem into a $100 problem. That's a massive, massive economic breakthrough. So, the really crucial point here isn't just about one clever machine. It's about creating the foundation for a scalable global industry that can actually make a difference. And this isn't some far off dream. The commercial rollout is already starting. Orbital is working toward a target of deploying 15 megawatts of their tidal power around the UK by 2025. That's enough clean energy to power 14,000 homes, moving this tech from a prototype to a real working part of the power grid. But if we zoom out, the global potential is just mind-blowing. It's estimated there's about 100 gigawatts of energy just waiting to be harvested from tidal streams around the world. To put that into perspective for you, that's enough clean, predictable power for 80 million homes. And with all that energy potential comes a huge economic opportunity. If this technology is fully deployed, it could create a market for equipment and services worth around $430 billion. We're talking about new jobs and a whole new green infrastructure industry. So, we're left with this final thought. While no single technology is going to solve all our climate challenges, the O2 turbine has elegantly solved so many of the tough problems that held tidal power back for decades. It sets a whole new benchmark, which makes you wonder, could this finally be the key that unlocks the powerful rhythmic pulse of our planet?